Thank you for tuning in to my latest video on tinnitus or tinnitus. So there are two things I want to talk about in this video. One is an absolutely appalling spike which I experienced over a period of about a week. I'd like to tell my story about that. And I want to make a few comments on chiropractors. I previously made a video on chiropractics, and my conclusion was that it wasn't really something which was worth trying. However, I've come across one or two more anecdotal evidence, and I just want to comment on that briefly. So somebody was saying that he'd had no tinnitus until the age of 73, and then he suddenly got this awful, debilitating tinnitus in both ears, almost to the extent that he felt like committing suicide. So he went to the ENT people, and they couldn't help him. And I believe that he was experiencing some back problems, some kind of abnormal curvature on his spine. He went to have some x-rays, and they found out that there were some kind of issues. Anyway, to cut a long story short, he went to a chiropractor, and he said that he had some of the manipulations that they do, and after those manipulations his tinnitus was gone. So my takeaway from this is that if you've got his condition, I believe, is that because of some kind of misalignment on his vertebrae, one of the vertebrae was pressing on a nerve, and this somehow was resulting in tinnitus. I don't exactly understand the mechanics of it all, but it seems quite plausible to me that if your tinnitus is caused by spinal issues and back issues, then yeah, absolutely, chiropractics is something that even I might consider, even though I'm very, very skeptical about the claims for chiropractics. It's quite possible that even though the claims for how it originated and everything is supernatural cause, that it was passed down from a dead doctor to a living doctor, I don't believe in any of that nonsense. But who knows, it's quite possible that over the years it's evolved to a point where it is actually useful for some back conditions. I don't know, I'm just passing on the anecdotal evidence, and I know that if I had extremely debilitating tinnitus and I also knew I had back problems and conventional medicine couldn't help me, of course I would try it. Desperation would make me try it out. So that's just to say that I'm skeptical about chiropractics, but in extreme circumstances, if it was a back related tinnitus, yeah, I would probably try it. Mine's not back related, so chiropractic is of no use to me. So what about this spike that I had? My experience with it. So I've had tinnitus since February 2022, and it's been more or less fairly consistent, which is a light hiss in the left ear with occasional kind of ringing sound. It's more or less been fairly manageable, and I managed to habituate to it. I can hear it all the time unless I'm in the shower or unless I'm in really loud traffic or something like that. It's there all the time, just to give you an idea about the level. I mean, it is a significant level, but I've been able to habituate to it. However, I had a terrible spike in the last week, and it's only just in the last 2 days cleared. So I thought I'd just come on and talk about that, because it's the spikes that we all fear. We've all got this invader in our ears, something that we can't get rid of. I mean, we can't just take it out, and it's there. It's like an unwelcome guest that you can never get rid of. And I mean, habituation is a bit like kind of treating it as irrelevant and disregarding it. But obviously, the louder the guest is, the louder a more intrusive guest is, the more difficult it is to ignore, such a pest. And so I found that with my 1 week period where I had increased level plus the nature of it was becoming quite a problem. So I was okay until I actually went to a ballet. I went to see a ballet, first performance I've seen in ages. I did take earplugs with me just in case. And when I got there, I was surprised to find that it wasn't an orchestra in the pit. There were two speakers on the stage, and there was a sound system at the back. So when I saw this, I decided I had a seat for near the front. I decided to sit at the back. And so when the ballet started, literally within 1 or 2 minutes of it starting, I noticed a zinging sound in my left ear, right down the middle, piercing. I thought, oh my God. So I quickly put the earplugs in as far as they would go, yellow foam earplugs. And I haven't got one here, unfortunately, to show you. And I listened to the rest of the performance with earplugs. So I went home and I went to bed, and it kind of subsided by the morning. It subsided by the morning, and it was also okay for the next day. But on the Wednesday, I went on the Monday, and on the Wednesday, it suddenly came back with a vengeance. This zinging sound. I mean, I had the hiss, but it was this zinging sound right down the middle, fairly high pitched, and resonating to such an extent that even though I've got it in my left ear, it almost seemed to me like I was getting it in my right ear as well. Sort of going right through my head almost to the other side. And it was not subsiding either. I tried 1 or 2 YouTube videos which I use neuromodulation sounds to smooth it off, which did sort of work. It didn't have as much effect as I thought. And I was getting into not quite a panicky stage, but a kind of depressed stage where I thought, is this? I mean, is this as a result of noise damage from the ballet, or did it maybe just trigger it and ramp it up? Is it going to be permanent? Is it going to be temporary? And I didn't know, but I was prepared to accept that it could be permanent. And I think it's important if you get a spike, as I did, you have to accept straight away rather than fight it. You've got to accept straight away. Okay, this could be permanent, and I have to deal with this as if it is going to be permanent. So I think that was the first stage for me in habituation to a new level. I did feel very depressed about it. I tried 1 or 2 things. I did intermittent fasting 3 days in a row. So this is something which I do maybe 3 times a week. 1 day on, 1 day off. So I fast for 20 hours. I start eating at 10 in the morning and I finish eating at 2 in the afternoon. So I decided to do this 3 days in a row. And I sort of cut down on some foods that I thought might be having an influence on it. And just to cut a long story short and not to bore you for too long, what day is it today? It's Wednesday today. Yeah, it started just over a week ago. And by this Monday morning, when I got up in the morning, it was actually significantly better. I don't know why. It seems to have gone back to baseline. I'm incredibly grateful. I'm not grateful to God because obviously I'm an atheist and I don't believe, I believe, obviously I don't believe that prayer has any effectiveness or anything because I don't believe in God. So no, anyway, forget all that. It's nothing to do with religion or anything, but tinnitus is such a mysterious condition. It can just come and go just like that. And I'm left wondering what caused it. Was it the concert or, was it just coincidence or I don't know, but it's made me very wary about if I go to a concert again, when I go in, I'll go in straight with the earplugs. But to be honest with you, there's not really much point going to a concert if you're going to go in with earplugs. So, I mean, the result is I probably won't go to anything at all. That's about it, guys. I'm back to baseline. I'm incredibly relieved, but as I say, I take nothing for granted, and this condition which I've got has the potential to suddenly get worse and remain worse as well. Okay, that's all for now. Uh, Catch you again soon. Bye.